Can you get me a ride in one of these muscle cars? I want to just hang out with Angus Fogg and be cool.
No, you
Talking
don't.
of Angus Fogg, he's pole position.
You don't want to ride with Angus Fogg. It's the most dangerous thing you can do.
He has offered. Angus Fogg is in pole position. Hugh Gardner's back at the sharp end where he needs to be. Dean Perkins, Andy Knight, and Dean Hansen. Craig Boot in 6th place. Andrew Porter, Tristan Tecchi, who was on the podium last time out. That's your top 8. And then comes Shannon Coker, Matt Spratt, the new boy, Bruce Anderson, Michael Wallace, Peter Ward in 13th position, Steve Ross in 14th position, Rick Van Sweat in 15th position, and Dave Sturrock in 16th place. Then it's Clark Hopkins, already a winner this weekend, Steve Doherty, and Tony Boyden in 19th place, Mark Holland, Johnson, Steve Neuer 22nd, Ken Lupton, who got a great result last time out, got a win, starts 23rd though for this one, and Andrew Sinclair starts 24th. So it's a normal grid, if you will. And Craig, your thoughts on this one as we see Bruce Kent and John Elliott will start at the back. What are your thoughts for this race?
It's who's going to have the best tyres, basically. I think that's the state of the nation. So whoever wants to use the best rubber under their car, control it the best, is the person that'll end up at the pointy end. They've also got another round coming up, round 4, of course, so tyres are not easily available. It's not like they can just keep smacking on tyres all the time. They've got to look after them for other rounds. It's the way the category works. So there's going to be a bit of play in how they control their rubber.
So this is a repeat of the first race of the weekend. Foggy on the left-hand side in the black and gold, and Hugh Gardner with their new engine gets off the line and gets off well too, and they're side by side, but Foggy's got the advantage as they dive into turn 1. The Hydrolink corner, and flat out down the 750-metre run, letting these engines get some horsepower down on the road. Gardner tries to come alongside, but Foggy's made sure he's got there first, and that's a good start from Angus Fogg in the number 11. Gardner 2nd, Perkins 3rd, Knight in 4th place, Dean Hansen 5th, Craig Boot just behind him in 6th place, Tristan Tecchi is behind him as they go through swampy curves for the first time. Turn 4 here on the international circuit. First time for the muscle cars on the international circuit, and they're loving it so far. Not a lot of time, though, to make mistakes in practice, and all mistakes in the race like that one. Luckily, he gathered it all together, but everybody cleanly through the first few corners. And Sooty, where does everybody struggle here? Is it the double Bs like the single-seaters?
Not really. It's all over the place because you've got so much horsepower and you've got to try and control it. So many cars running leaf springs. I mean, it's not made for it to do what they're doing. And it takes a little bit of a skill set to get that throttle response, decide when to use it, when not to use it, how much steering to put on, how much not to put on. So every single turn on the circuit is a challenge for these drivers to get the most out of these machines. And I was speaking to Angus Fogg about where he's at in the race weekend, and he said, well, the problem is he lost his clutch yesterday, he had exhaust problems, and now he said simply, Hugh Gardner is dialed in, so I've got to lift my game. It's pretty simple.
Well, he's done it so far. What a first lap that was. 142.5 compared to Gardner's 143.4. So Foggy was definitely eating his own words there, or listening to himself, because he has stolen a march from the start of this one and got away from Gardner, but I think he knows that Gardner will come back at him. I'll tell you what, I just got a quick glimpse of that car park. What a sight that is to see. So many fans out here to watch New Zealand motorsport. They love the muscle cars, and of course are here for the big Grand Prix. But it's Foggy at the moment from Gardner. Perkins in 3rd. Knight up to 4th place now, and the 50 of Andy Knight. There he is in the all red. The 2nd of the 2 red cars going through. There he is, Andy Knight there. Good to have him on board. And of course, those of you who know your TRS history will know that Andy Knight was one of the founding racers of the championship. So it's good to see him still in action all these years later.
Yeah, he's certainly got a pedigree in motorsport. The New Zealand racing fans know it well and truly, and you're right, it is so cool to see him knocking around in what is a historic race car, really, with the Central Muscle Car Cruise. But, you know, leading the pack at the moment with Fogg and then Gardner and Perkins is really worried about his tyres. So he's got to make a big decision how hard he presses to try and catch Gardner versus how much he just needs to stay in 3rd position and not lose it to Andy Knight. So there'll be a bit of racing tactics going on in the next few laps.
Sooty, you'll like this one. We've just heard from race control. A false start from Foggy. He's going to get a penalty.
Yeah, we saw it, and we did wonder, and we wondered if it would come through, and it has, so that's going to hurt his championship. It's basically, it'll kill the championship for Angus, and for the rest of the season, he's just going to have to try and make the others work for the points. So he will get a penalty. That'll hand it to Gardner or the others, and you'll be able to see it here, Jonathan. Oh, no, yeah, maybe he knows, and so he's putting himself, it could be a time penalty. Ian might know that. Is that what they'll lay on him? Be unusual.
I think it's down to the officials in downstairs. It's not actually something that in our class. They'll put a time penalty on him, and they'll move him back a few places in the results at the end.
So there you go, Jonathan. He might have to drive extra fast and extra hard to get some split times on the rest of these competitors.
Well, the flames are coming out of the back, but it's not been an easy season for Angus Fogg. Didn't he have an issue in the first round or a crash?
Yes, he's had an engine blow, he's had an accident, now he's had a clutch go, he's had exhaust problems. It hasn't been handed to him on a platter, which, to be fair, most people thought when Angus arrived in this category, he would just walk away with it. But it hasn't been that way, and that's good for two things. One, it means that we've got some competition, but it also shows the content and how good the other drivers and cars really are. When a superstar like Foggy turns up with a flying missile like he's got, it doesn't all go his way. It's brilliant.
And here's a question for Ian. We've mentioned Foggy, we've mentioned Andy Knight. What kind of driver and who does it attract? What is their usual background to come to Central Muscle Cars?
Some people with a passion for the vehicles and the cars just want to go racing. They come to the field. John Midgley, he came to the field and never raced a car before. That was the Blue Falcon that was racing the other day. But people like Angus Fogg and that, they race in those other classes like NZV8, and they come through the classes. Shannon Coker, he's come through the class, and they come here and they get into this class because they like the cars, and it's sort of, I don't know, is it a retirement package or something like that they're looking for?
Yeah, well, some of these guys are borderline retirement age. I mean, and we're looking at Andrew Porter as well. He's one of the ones who's come up through the scenes. But Clark Hopkins there in the Tirana, he's not. He's just decided he wants to run a Tirana.
Yeah, and they're passionate about those cars.
Go ahead. Yeah, I was going to say, you've got a retirement package. I'll tell you what, these cars are not easy to drive, and no gimmicks on them, no extra bits and bobs of modern day. So these guys are working. There's no retirement involved.
Oh, no, they are spent. When they get out of the cars, they know their bodies hurt. They realise what they've been putting themselves through for a weekend, and you know, kudos to them. I don't think I could do it. So, you know, some people, those who can do and those who can't, we just talk about it, Jonathan.
That's the truth. Dean Hansen, the champion, in 6th place at the moment, chasing down Craig Boot. We're watching the battle, though, of the 66 of Steve Ross. 10th place at the moment, Steve Ross, and he's chasing down Michael Wallace in 9th in the 151. Good battle, this, gents.
Yeah, it is, and Michael Wallace really needs to get some good points so far. He hasn't had a great weekend. He came into this round leading the championship. It hasn't all gone his way. I mean, he'll come out clean. That's a good thing. He hasn't hurt the car. He hasn't hurt anyone else. So he will take points. And he'll probably just scrape through with the championship lead by the end of the weekend. But it will be only just. So he's got to make sure he stays super clean. If Ross starts to get the better of him, hope Wallace just sees sense and says, okay, take the pass. Let's stay clean. You can have that 1 or 2 extra points. I don't mind.
We're looking at Bruce Anderson now in the 17 as he crosses the line. He had a spin last time out in the previous race, but he's pedaling away well at the moment. Coming into turn 1 and currently in, 11th place. Sorry, go ahead, boys.
Yeah, and Andrew Porter gets him. Now, there's 2 guys who have come through the ranks. I mean, we've got Porter, who's come up through all sorts of motorsport in the Porter family, but of course Bruce Anderson, who is well into his genuine retirement, decides he'll either bring out his Falcon or the Mustang, and this season he's been running in this particular Falcon, which is actually a tribute Falcon to his early days, and we're talking 30-40 years ago, isn't it, Ian? How far back is that?
Yeah, back in the Wellington Street race, a similar livery car was raced with Dick Johnson and him at the helm. So yeah, it's a tribute car, and he's going really well. I think he's found a little bit more, like, I don't think he had full throttle in the other races and that, so he's probably going a little bit better in this race.
Yeah, and it's good to see him there, Jonathan, up against the likes of Andrew Porter, who hangs it out a little bit, but he's come through, you know, NZ V8s and the V8 Utes and truck racing, so he should be able to handle a Mustang.
And guys, just give of our audience, because there's a lot of international fans tuning in and don't often get to see these muscle cars, especially these historic ones. But I know it's a passion, I know it's a love, it's club racing as you described, but just tell us how much time these guys put into these cars during the week.
Oh, Ian could vouch for this. It's enormous, isn't it? Just enormous.
Yeah, normally, like if they have something go wrong and that, they can spend a couple of weeks before a round getting it all back together and that sort of thing. But in the off season, normally they strip them down to a bare shell, go through gearbox, engine, diff, and rebuild the whole package and put it back together. So when they come out for the first round of the season, they're they're out there and hopefully they don't have any problems. But they're a mechanical thing and they do have issues.
Yeah, but they treat them like they're one of their children, and also like a premier motorsport car. And you might, like you say, Jonathan, you look and you think, oh, just a vintage V8 racing car, but no, these things are at the top of their game, really, for what they are.
I'm smiling because I'm thinking the Americans tuning in right now going, what are all these other cars? I know the Mustang, I know that one, but what are these Holdens? What are these Commodores? I don't know. Whoa! I didn't know it was a drift race, but I guess it is.
I suspect he has lost his rear tyres and he is going as hard as he can to still maintain control for Dean Hansen, the current champion of the Central Muscle Cars, and he is nowhere near the top of the table on the points at this stage, but if he keeps driving like that, he'll go further down the points ladder.
Yeah, and you look at that car at Dean
So
Hansen's.
what is the tyre choice then? Go ahead, City.
That car at Dean Hansen's, that used to be used as a taxi back in the day, for running people around town from, like back home from the pub and that sort of thing. So now it's going a little bit faster than what they used to.
I was about to say, that would be a heck of a journey in one of them. Good crowd as always, and of course the engineers on the fences watching on. Great fraternity, and I've been around that paddock, and I love watching these cars being prepared. In fact, where I stay in Auckland, a lot of them are prepared near the office we work from, and yeah, it's good to go and see what they're up to. And like I said, I've seen the passion that they put into these cars, so yeah, absolutely love them.
Yeah, exactly right. And
So this is the last
it
race
is a
of the
split though,
weekend for them.
Jonathan. It is a good thing that there's actually quite a difference between the front-running top cars and the ones at the rear. They are still fast, they are still V8 muscle cars, but there is actually quite a broad spectrum of engine power, setups, and the way they do things. So, and even though it's a controlled category, there's still quite a differential.
What is the tyre allocation? Because you talked about the fact that you've got another event. So how many tyres can they use per event or per season?
Well, I think normally in every race they're allowed to run 4 new tyres, 4 old tyres, and then they've got to be marked. The old ones have got to be marked from a previous meeting, but because there's a shortage of tyres at the moment because of shipping and all that sort of thing, when they go to Manfield, they've got to use 8 tyres that have been marked, and if some of them have saved 2 tyres from this round or 4 tyres from this round, they've got new tyres going into that round. But the other guys who haven't got a lot of tyres, the likes of Dean Perkins, Angus Foggs, those guys who chew through the tyres pretty quickly with a high horsepower, they're going to struggle with the tyres there, but they're only allowed 8 tyres at that round.
Fair enough. So Angus Fogg in the black and gold, J.A. Russell, Boss Mustang, continues to lead, but of course he's got that false start, and Hugh Gardner, I'm sure, will have been informed by now that is the case, so he's not pushing on too much. I think he's happy to stay where he is, knowing that he's got Angus in his sights and that he's got a penalty, my guess. But look how far these two have pulled ahead of the rest of the crowd.
Yeah, well, if it's a time penalty if he's given that at the end of the race, at the moment he's got a 10-second or 10.5-second gap back to third place Perkins. So if he was given a 5 or 10-second penalty, he'll be okay, he'll move into second. Anything more than that, he should still be okay. Even a 20-second penalty, by the looks of it at this stage, with the way the tyres are going off on these cars, he won't lose too much time. So he might actually be okay in regards to his championship now.
I'll tell you what, Dean Hansen's having a rare old time out there. I'm glad we're focusing on him, because he's sideways everywhere, but there's smoke pouring off there. Oh, no, that's the 87 who spun it round, and that's a big moment for Steve Doherty, and he's got it together, but I'm thinking it's just a simple spin, boys.
Yeah, I'd say so, and that again, it could be a lack of tyre. He's gone into turn 1. Yeah, he's already sideways before he's hit the top of it.
Oh, that's a scary moment. He's done a good job to just to keep it sideways and not keep going straight forward. He spins it right round. 3-point degree of difficulty on the dive. Nicely done, though. Good spin. Meanwhile, Angus Fogg is coming round to finish the race here. He comes out of the sweeper. And Angus Fogg, it's debatable whether he's going to win this race, but as you say, he's going to be there or thereabouts. He'll be on the podium. But he got that false start, but takes the checkered flag all the same. As Hugh Gardner will probably take the win with that second place, keeping him in mind. Dean Perkins will get his second podium of the weekend if we see him pop out. And sure enough, he does. And an entertaining race once again at Hampton Downs. And boys, where are you next?
Down to the middle of the North Island. We head down to Manfield, and so the classic New Zealand race circuit, which will be a lot of fun for these guys. They know it well. It tests all the drivers, but as we said earlier, it's going to be even extra test given the COVID has placed a shortage on tyre allocation. So it's going to be an interesting challenge for the lads.
I didn't know that tyres could get COVID, but there you go. Confirmation of the result then, Angus Fogg with the victory, but we'll see how it all pans out once they've been to the stewards. Hugh Gardner, second place, already a winner this weekend. Dean Perkins, another podium for him. And the best result of the weekend for Andy Knight, up to fourth place. Craig Boot in fifth. Dean Hanson, sixth, the champion. And then Tristan Tecchi in seventh. Matt Spratt in eighth position. Andrew Porter in ninth. And Michael Wallace rounding out the top 10.